Welcome into a brand new episode of WSI TV. Enjoy the show.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Informer Spotlight. I'm joined as always by Taylor. How are you doing today, Taylor?
Good, how are you, Leah?
I'm doing great. So let's jump right into things. Today we're going to be talking about the stocks to trust in aerospace. But before we get into that, as always, we have to remind you guys to go on to WSITV.com and gain instant access to our daily newsletters and subscribe to receive our absolutely free content and hard-hitting updates. So Taylor, if you want to tell us a little bit about aerospace and how much it's worth.
Yes, so today we're going to talk about aerospace stocks. I've seen quite a few of the big names that probably you recognize, household names that we'll talk about in just a second. They've been in the media quite a bit recently, so we wanted to kind of zoom in on the sector of aerospace and kind of talk about what's actually going on. But just to give you a background as to why you should possibly care about aerospace as an industry. That big number right behind me there is $347 billion that was contributed to the United States gross domestic product last year, just by aerospace. Not necessarily one specific company, but those things that it's aviation, it's defense, it's military contracts, all these things are going into this number, which is a huge, huge part of the economy, obviously. So
Yeah.
It's definitely a really important sector to be looking into, and if you are interested in investing in things like this, obviously these companies are going to be on the forefront of the future of space travel and anything else that we see on that side of things in scientific innovation, so we're going to talk about it on the financial side today.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's a big number.
Yes.
It's a big industry. There's a lot of noise trying to tell you which stocks are worth the buy for this industry because it is up and coming. It kind of crosses over with the technological industry.
For sure.
So we see a lot of that kind of influx between two different sectors. But we're going to sort through all of those recommendations and let you guys know which ones you can trust.
For sure, yes.
So we're not checking in at the ISS.
Yes, so we're not necessarily talking about space travel in what you might imagine it to be. Aerospace is more than just sending a rocket up to the moon. It's anything from aviation, like commercial airlines, to engineering, to manufacturing, to defense contracts and security, satellites, anything in those that along those lines falls into aerospace. So obviously, it's a huge industry. Like you saw that number, a lot of money goes into it, a lot of money comes out of it. And you need to know what's going on in the sector so you can invest in the technology and the different innovations that they're coming to in the coming years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to do that, you have to know which players are in the game. So we're going to kind of give you guys a run through of all the different companies, good and bad, I think, just to show you guys what all is out there. And then we're going to sort through it and find the best options for you.
Yes.
So these are some names that you might recognize.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we do have the ones that we're going to spotlight today. We have United Technologies, General Electric, Safran Aerospace, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Airbus. But I just do want to say before we get into this that these companies aren't necessarily good or bad just in general of the market. We're looking at them in terms of the market right now. If Boeing is a good pick in the next 2 months, we won't know. But Boeing was a good pick 6 months ago, so we're just looking at things in the context of the current market. So just because we may say that Airbus isn't it right now or right today, that doesn't mean it's never going to be it. So just keep that in mind, and that's true for any stock that you're looking at. It may not be a pick for you today, but it may be tomorrow. So always keep your eye on things like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, these are all names that I recognize. I'm pretty sure our audience recognizes them too. The logos are really familiar.
For sure.
So these are big companies. They're obviously successful in some sense, but a successful company can have a dip in flow in the stock market. And so we're just going to wait for the perfect entry point. So that's what today is all about, is finding those entry points. So we've got the Boeing company up first. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we do have Boeing first today, probably because they're the ones populating the media for the most part. Just to give you a little bit of background on the company, if you're not sure, if you don't know anything about it, it actually began in 1916, and it was the Pacific Aero Products Company. And they produced early aircraft and purchased airlines, so they weren't necessarily always in the big business that you see them today. In 1931, they merged 4 smaller airlines that actually became the United Airlines brand that you know of now. They launched satellites from the sea, and they design all their own aircraft. They have satellites, missiles, rockets, and their headquarters are actually in Chicago, Illinois. So this is an American-based company.
Didn't know that, actually.
Yes, it is. And they do design things all around the world. We do have manufacturing factories all around the world. All of their designs are brought to production there. They're the largest manufacturer of commercial jetliners and military aircraft combined. So there may be, they do have a competitor later on in the PowerPoint we'll show you that is big in commercial aircraft as well, but they are the largest manufacturer of both commercial and military aircraft.
Yeah.
So they did hit a bit of a rough patch recently though, so that's probably why you're hearing Boeing so often now. If you're not aware, the 737 MAX suffered 3 deadly crashes in 2019, and that of course is a Boeing design. And they've since determined that it's a design flaw, and the planes have all been grounded by the FAA ever since. So they're still coming over that rough patch. They've just released their former CEO from employment. He left with an $80 million severance package, which is not technically severance, but we won't get into all that. So now they've just turned around. They just brought a new CEO. He's supposedly a turnaround specialist. So we'll see what actually comes out of this in the coming months and years. But their goals are to get the 737 MAX back into the air, get production numbers back up to where they were before all of this happened with the crashes last year, and try and repair the damaged reputation that they've kind of really suffered through the past couple months.
Yeah, I was actually directly affected by all those groundings. I was going abroad at the beginning of the summer, and I was flying on a plane company that stocked the 737, and they had just found out that they were all grounded. And so I was stuck in the airport for a day and a half, waiting for them to get another flight.
Yeah, no fun.
So it was a bit of a rough patch. Boeing got a little bit of a bad rap for it, but
sure.
they're hopefully coming out of it. But let's see if we should trust them.
Yes.
So here's their chart.
Yes.
To sum it up, no, right now we don't trust this as a stock investment. Taylor, if you want to talk a little bit about why.
Yes. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Lea and I are talking about how Boeing was a great pick a couple months ago. If you look back here, even just in the late 2019, if you look right over here, this would be a great entry point for you right in the middle of this chart. But as you can see, we've since leveled out a bit. We're coming down a little bit towards the far right corner, and that's not something you really want to see, especially when you have this uncertainty going on with the company as a whole. They've got a lot of lawsuits happening from this grounding. They haven't even fixed the design flaws with the 737 yet. So there are lots of things up in the air for Boeing, and while they're a great company, they've got, of course, their space travel and their other, the SLS launch and things like that are still in the works. With all of the uncertainty with their commercial aircraft, we're not really picking this one right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing with me is this looks very similar to a lot of the charts that we do recommend, just because it does have that strong upward motion here. But the important thing to notice, as Taylor said, is that it dips off over here. So at first glance, to someone that's new to the stock market, this might look like a good pick because it's generally moving up. But what we're worried about is like right here at this chart. When a chart is moving up, that's not enough to get in. You want it to be moving up and dip and bounce. That's your perfect entry point.
Yes.
And here we don't see that. Instead, we see it dipping below the point. If it had bounced right here and gone back up, that would have been a great entry point. But instead, we see this line, this red line here, cross. And that's just not a promising sign for us. So moving on to our next one, we've got, I don't even know how to say this one, actually.
Actually, I'm not sure either. I was assuming it's Northrop Grumman.
Sounds right.
We're going to go with that one. The ticker is NOC, but this company was founded in 1994. I've only read about it, so just forgive me for the pronunciation. But they build ballistic missiles, all-weather radar, the Apollo lunar module, land and sea-based aircraft, and stealth bombers. So this is a company that's really involved in just the nitty-gritty of the technology and things that you think of when you think of aerospace. In terms of aviation, they created the first ever unmanned autonomous air system operating from an aircraft carrier, which I don't even know really what that means, but obviously that's a huge feat in this company, in this industry. They were one of the world's largest weapons manufacturers and military technology providers. And in the coming years, they're going to be developing and integrating the James Webb Space Telescope, which is planned to launch in 2021. So they've got a lot coming up for them. They've got a lot behind them, and it's a very young company, like 1994. And they've accomplished all these things in such a short time. So
yeah, absolutely. So do we trust them?
That's the question.
Chart.
Perhaps. That's my answer for right now. Right now, NOC is flying really, really high. Like Lea was saying, that uptrend is really good in the chart. But we don't have a safe entry point right here. We're really high above the 40-week, which is that line that we talk to you about all the time. And it's not really safe. We could come crashing back down next week, and you would lose all your money. So we're going to wait for that point where that chart has established the support where it's going to bounce off of, and then you can get in. But, I mean, it's a great company. It's got a good outlook, but we're going to keep our eye on this one.
Yeah, so maybe nearing up on that 2021 launch. That might be we'll keep an eye on it for then.
Yes, we'll take a closer look then.
Yes, absolutely. So next we have Lockheed Martin, which actually has several offices based in Florida, near NASA and all that.
It does, yes.
Very familiar with this one. Want to talk a little bit about it?
Yes, like Leah said, this one is pretty close to us in Orlando. It was actually founded in 1995, so it's, again, a very young company. It was merged with Martin Marietta in a $10 billion deal. So this is two companies coming together. It's the world's largest defense contractor based on revenue. And it's one of the largest companies in the aerospace, defense, security, and technologies industry. So because they have that merger under their belt, they've just got everything underneath the umbrella. So we have currently developing, they're doing the F-35 Lightning II. They're leading the team for the development and implementation of technology solutions for the new space fence and the primary contractor for the development of the Orion Command Module. So they've got a lot of things going on, mainly on the space front, but as we're coming into what is going to be the new frontier for space travel, I think Lockheed's going to be one to watch for sure.
Yeah, which is really exciting. I don't know about you, but I'm a huge fan of space travel. Growing up so close to NASA as a child.
Cape Canaveral was really inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So super excited to watch where this one goes. But do we trust them for investments? Maybe in the future.
Yes. So similar to what I'd said with the previous chart with the ticker was NOC, here we have LMT. It's incredibly high, which is a good thing, but in the future we're looking for a healthy correction for it to come back down from the sky for a bit to make sure that those levels are sustainable. Right now it's flying super high and we don't know if it's going to stay there.
Appreciate the puns in your description there. Don't know if they were purposeful, but
probably not. But.
So hopefully soon we'll see that correction.
Another one that we'll keep our eye on for sure.
Absolutely. And next up we have General Electric.
Yes, so this company goes back probably further than maybe you previously knew. It actually began in 1892 through the merger of Edison General Electric Company and Thomas Houston Electric. So yes, that is Thomas Edison was at the front running of one of the companies that merged into what would be General Electric. So in terms of their business, they're a multinational conglomerate specializing in aviation, healthcare, power, renewable energy, lighting, and so many other things that I didn't even list them all because they've just got their hands in everything because of how long this company's been in business. But in terms of aerospace in general, we've got in 2007, they acquired Smiths Aerospace for $4.8 billion. And GE Aviation surpassed the then largest engine manufacturer to become the new industry giant in aircraft engine manufacturing. So they were ranked in the Fortune 500 as the 18th largest firm in the United States. And they're among the top aircraft engine suppliers and provides the majority of commercial aircraft.
So big company with their hands in everything.
Yes.
So that's encouraging. But do we trust them for investments? Yes, actually. And so like the reverse of the first chart, this one looks opposite of what we're usually telling you.
We tell you not to pick one that's going down, and we're showing you one that's going down. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, so to explain, we have to start with, yes, when there is a downtrend, that's a bad thing.
Yes.
Don't buy it just because it's in a downtrend. But there usually is a balancing point when it evens out, and then it'll start to go back up. That's when the discounted stock is a good thing because it means that it's about to rise back up. And we look for very, very specific things when we want that to happen. We call it a phoenix. And this is a perfect phoenix.
It is.
So we look at these two different trend lines with our moving averages that we're talking about all the time. There's the red one and the blue one. That helps us distinguish. So in a positive chart that's moving upwards, that red line is above the blue line. And right here we see this blue line has been very strongly above the red line. So it's not positive. And then you can just tell by looking at it, this chart is not a happy chart.
Exactly.
But over here we see it rise up a little bit and then even out. And it's been on this even trend all of 2019. And then right at the end of 2019, we saw it rise up above those moving averages. And then we saw this red line cross over, which is a really strong sign.
That is a really bullish sign, yes.
Yeah,
and
so
especially seeing as we're looking at that support in the back there, it's a great sign for this chart right now.
Yeah, so this is getting a little bit complicated, a little bit much. If you want more details on it, all of our services are available that teach you all the details of this. Taylor and I had to go through strenuous training to figure out how to recognize charts like this, and they're very rare, so we're really excited about this one.
Exactly.
So. And next up, we have United Technologies.
Yes, this one was actually in the news a couple months ago. It was merging with Raytheon Technologies, which is another similar company. But just in general, they research, develop, and manufacture aircraft engines, aerospace systems, HVAC elevators and escalators, building systems, industrial products, and much more. So they're, again, in quite a few different things in the aerospace industry, but again, are a strong contender in it. They have 10% of their revenue from the United States government due to their expensive military contracts. So this one is really heavily reliant on military aid.
Yeah, which can be a good thing when you have the government helping to bolster
They're
your
kind
company.
of a vote of confidence for sure.
Exactly.
Yes.
So do we trust their chart? Maybe in the future again.
Yes.
Do you want to explain why, Taylor?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm just gonna be a broken record here. We're gonna wait out a healthy correction on this one. It's really high above that 40-week that Lea was saying. It could come crashing back down and then bounce back up again, but you don't want to buy on that high part and be part of the crash. You want to buy on the rise back up. So we want to make sure that we're watching this one. We will watch the other two as well that we've mentioned to you before. But again, this one's looking really good, but not right now.
Yes. So this one would have been a great pick a while back, and you could have ridden up to the high that we're at now.
Exactly.
But whenever you're at a record high like this, it gets a little bit scary because it starts to teeter and maybe fall back down, which we would want because once it falls back down, it'll rise back up. But complicated process of when to get in and out on these stocks. And next up, we have Airbus.
Yes. So Airbus is Boeing's European counterpart, for lack of a better description. Like I said, Boeing is probably the number one commercial aircraft manufacturer in the United States. Airbus is the number one for Europe. So they, after Boeing had such difficulty in 2019, it became the top airline manufacturer in the world. They have 3 divisions: commercial aircraft, defense and space, and helicopters, all of which provide aircraft to large governmental clients such as the European Union. So they have some big clients behind them, and again, with Boeing's troubles, they've got quite a few sales under their belt the past couple of months.
And so do we trust their chart? Yes. This is actually the strongest chart that we've had up here today.
Yes, this one's a really good chart. We've seen a lot of upwards action. Of course, there's a little bit of fluctuation on the right side, but again, they're looking really high on the right side of the chart that we're looking at. It's above that 40-week. It's a little high for my taste, but it'll probably dip back down a little bit once the market loses its momentum. But this is just a symptom of the market, and that's what Lea and I were talking about earlier, that everything is super high right now because the market is super high right now. So that's why we're telling you, wait it out. But this is a good pick right now.
Yeah, which is going back to Jim and I recorded an episode on Monday where we were talking about the possibility of a correction. We keep calling it a healthy correction. And a lot of people are like, how is that healthy? You lose money. Because if you're not already in these stocks that are sky high, and you will get out before that healthy correction occurs if you follow all of our rules. But if you're not already in, there's no point to enter at this point. So you need that correction for it to dip back down so that you can get back in and ride it on the next high.
Exactly.
So we're just looking for that. With this chart, it is still looking really healthy. It's not too far above that moving average, so that's really encouraging.
Yes.
And I'm really liking this chart.
Me
So,
too, yeah.
The next we have Safran.
Yes, I believe that's how you pronounce it. This one is a French multinational manufacturer of aircraft engines, rocket engines, aerospace and defense components, and much more. So in 2018, Safran took control of Zodiac Aerospace and expanded its aircraft capabilities. So it's since been granted, it's since generated 21 billion euros in sales as of 2018. So
It's a big company.
yes, pretty new to aerospace, but they're doing really good. So.
Yeah, and that can be encouraging because we're about to hit that boom in aerospace.
Exactly.
So looking at their chart, this is a great chart.
This is my favorite chart.
Yeah, no, this is even better than the last one because we don't have that dip at the end of 2019
Exactly.
or 2018.
Yes.
Yeah, so really, really strong chart. We like where this one is. It's at that really good entry point right here.
Exactly. Yes.
And I think that's why you chose this one.
Yes,
Yeah.
this one's my favorite for the day. This one's probably the smallest of all the companies we've just said, but obviously looking at the chart, it doesn't mean much, you know. So if we saw that fluctuation in Boeing, and Boeing is the largest aircraft manufacturer in the world, Safran's a good place to put your money while you're waiting for Boeing to figure it out. Especially if you're looking into, you're really passionate about space, or if you're interested in aerospace in the future. Obviously, it's only got more places to go. As we innovate and as technology, again, increases, these companies are going to be on the forefront, and they're going to benefit from it. So
Yeah, I'm really loving this chart. We're at a really good spot. It's not too far above those moving averages, so that's strong. Yeah, but really good pick. So do you feel better yet? Aerospace makes sense now. Maybe not the details of actual rocket science, but as far as investing,
I still don't know that either.
But as far as investing in it goes, we've got that one figured out.
Yes.
So stay tuned for more episodes like this. And coming soon, we just want to give you guys a little bit of a looking forward preview.
Yes.
We're going to do an inside look at the Money Machine on the Las Vegas Strip, like we promised. You may have caught our preview a couple weeks ago. So we've been working hard to prep that for you guys, and we're really excited to bring it to you soon. And then we're going to talk about currency trading. That one's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So I've been doing a lot of research on that. It's been a really complicated process.
Yes,
currency
we're trying
trading.
to break it down for them.
Yes, it's a little bit more to deal with than with your traditional stocks. There's more rules. It's a different system, but it's a really, really interesting system, and especially with all of the geopolitical situations that we've been dealing with,
sure.
I felt like it was an interesting place to dive into.
Yes.
And then just tons of stock market insights and weekly picks, as always. So make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Make sure that you go on WSITV.com and receive all of our updates. And just stay tuned for more picks like this.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Taylor.
Of course. Thank you guys for joining us.
See you next week.
Thanks for watching the latest episode of WSI TV. Be sure to visit WSITV.com where you can subscribe for free with no contract and gain instant access to the secrets of self-made millionaires via the WSI TV Vault. So go ahead and claim this gift for free now at WSITV.com.